classic slow-cooked creamy rice dish made with assorted wild mushrooms, white wine, vermouth, and chicken stock. Serve it with a side salad and a favorite glass of white wine. How about a delicious wild mushroom risotto? This popular rice dish never disappoints, but fair warning, it'll take you 45 minutes to make. And 20 of those minutes is going to be you standing at stovetop, stirring the pot, so to speak. So worth it. Let's begin and talk about the mushrooms. First, I have 2 cups of dried porcini mushrooms. They go into a bowl. We cover them with 1 cup of boiling water, leave them to soak for 30 minutes. While they're soaking, we're prepping 3 additional kinds of mushrooms for the recipe. Today, I'm using king mushrooms, these beautiful oyster mushrooms, also these shiitakes. The king mushrooms get sliced, the oyster mushrooms get pulled apart and then cut into smaller sections. The shiitake caps get plucked off the stem. We use the caps only for this recipe, thinly sliced. Next, we're gonna cook those mushrooms. You're gonna need about 4 cups total for the recipe, and you can cook them off in 2 or 3 batches. Large skillet on stovetop, moderate heat, melt 2 tablespoons of butter and add a handful of mushrooms. Let's do a sprinkle of kosher salt. We're gonna brown those mushrooms, give them a flip in the pan. When they're nice and brown, we're gonna transfer them to a bowl. Guess what? You've gotta repeat until all of the mushrooms are browned. Now we're going back to those porcinis. Strain the porcinis, saving the liquid, then you can flip them onto a cutting board and give them a rough chop. We're gonna add them to the sauteed mushrooms and toss. We want you to do one important thing. Reserve about 1/4 cup of the quantity of mushrooms to the side. We're going to be using them for a garnish. How about all that liquid that came off the mushrooms? That liquid is so full of flavor, it also has a nice color though, right? We're going to add 1/2 cup of white vermouth and 1/2 cup of dry white wine. Set that liquid by stovetop. Now we're getting set to cook the risotto. You're going to need 6 cups of chicken stock. We're going to pour them into a large pot. Bring them to a boil, then reduce to simmer. You need to keep that liquid hot for the recipe. Now we get cooking. Large heavy bottom saucepan, moderate heat. We're gonna add 2 tablespoons of butter plus 1 tablespoon of olive oil. As soon as they're hot, we're adding 1 small white onion. It is finely diced. We're gonna cook until soft, about 4 minutes. Now let's talk about the rice. You're gonna need 1 1/4 cups of rice for the recipe. Yes, you can use arborio rice, but we wanna suggest you look for a bit of an upgrade. How about carnaroli rice? It has a very dense grain, and using this rice ensures your risotto won't get mushy. Add that rice to the pan. We're gonna stir it in and continue to stir for about 4 minutes. The rice needs to go translucent around the edges. Then we're gonna add that wine, vermouth, and mushroom liquid. Stir it in until it's absorbed. It'll take about 3 minutes. Next, we're gonna start adding that hot chicken stock, 3/4 of a cup at a time, right? So here's your chance to stir things up for the next 20 minutes. Add enough liquid to cover the rice. We're gonna stir constantly. As soon as it's absorbed, we're gonna add more. And you continue back and forth like this for the first 10 minutes. 10-minute mark, let's add the mushrooms into the risotto. Stir the large quantity of reserved mushrooms into the risotto, but then continue adding that broth, 3/4 of a cup at a time. We're stirring to incorporate after each addition until it's almost completely absorbed before we add more. Cook, stirring often until the rice is tender but firm to the bite. This risotto, just like pasta, needs to be al dente, yet still creamy. After that second 10 minutes of stirring, your risotto is ready to be enjoyed. But before we do that, 2 final hits of flavor, 1 tablespoon of butter, stir it in, as well as 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese. You can see this dish surely is so creamy. And now to serve. Transfer your wild mushroom risotto onto soup plates. Let's garnish with some of the reserved mushrooms, then a sprinkle of Parmesan cheese, and how about some freshly chopped Italian flat leaf parsley for color. Again, we're serving it with a glass of white wine and a side salad. That is all you need. Actually, no, you need one more thing. You need the full recipe. And that's up at weekendатthecottage.com. When you're visiting our website, please subscribe to it. Look for this video on our dedicated YouTube channel. You can subscribe to it as well. And then when risotto is this beautiful and exceptionally delicious, and this one really is, take a picture of it and post it using hashtag weekendатthecottage on your favorite socials like Pinterest, the Gram, and Facebook. Wild mushroom risotto. Absolutely bursting with creamy wild mushroom flavors. So delicious. Beautiful. Yay.